Sabina, Chege.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity. And first and foremost, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my party, Jubilee Party, for nominating me to be a member of this parliament, and also to confirm that Jubilee Party is part of the Azimio La Umoja kwa One Kenya coalition. And Mr. Speaker, just to say that the letter that was there before about Jubilee, that was our internal affairs. And Jubilee is family in Azimio La Umoja. I just want to confirm that. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, the issue at hand is who is the majority in this House. Mr. Speaker, a lot of people have alluded about marriage. We all went onto a competition when we went to look for votes. Mr. Speaker, we had two handsome men, and each political party chose where they wanted to go. After the battle, which was a fierce battle, and very close to call, Mr. Speaker, we got the results. And Mr. Speaker, I'll say fortunately, the Azimio La Umoja coalition got the majority of members of this House, Mr. Speaker. As fate would have it, Mr. Speaker, when part of our team saw that the other side, they were rising to go to the House on the Hill, some of them, Mr. Speaker, ran away. But I just want to remind them, Mr. Speaker, that it is good once you are signing a document, please read the document and just know the content of the document. Mr. Speaker, I also want to remind them that for the ones who have left, yes, they might vote on the other side, but legally, they are with Azimio. Until 90 days are over from the date after the election from 9th. And after that, Mr. Speaker, I am part of the Azimio Council. They are all welcome to come and table their grievances. And we shall again consider whether the grievances are true, and we can let them go, Mr. Speaker, if they so wish. But at this point, Mr. Speaker, even if they go, Mr. Speaker, and some of them have gone, and we respect their decision. Nobody is being forced or coerced, Mr. Speaker. It's just to let them know that the document they signed, ignorance has no defense. Whether they had read or not, they are bound by that document, Mr. Speaker. And so Azimio Party, Azimio Coalition has several parties, and we are the majority. And Mr. Speaker, I know you have also received communication from the Registrar of Political Parties. So we are not disputing who the majority is. Give us a chance, Mr. Speaker, to come here and agree on the way forward, to form the House Business Committee so that then we can serve Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
Mutuse.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to address this House. This being my inaugural address to the House, like many have done, I wish to thank my people of Kibwezi West for electing me to represent them here under Maendeleo Chapchap. Mr. Speaker, you notice that our party, Maendeleo Chapchap, is among the parties whose numbers are being contested, and therefore we have a greater interest than many in the current matter. Mr. Speaker, as a lawyer, I know legal arguments follow facts, and therefore it is important for us to lay the facts bare so that when you retreat to make your ruling, it will be as reasoned as possible. It has been insinuated by our friends under Azimio that Maendeleo Chapchap and other parties only jumped after His Excellency the President was declared. Nothing can be further from the truth. Mr. Speaker, I will be tabling before this House a letter that was written by my party, Maendeleo Chapchap, on the 20th of April, over 100 days before the elections to the Registrar of Political Parties, in which letter we requested the Registrar to supply us with the coalition agreement, the Constitution of Azimio Kenya, and the nomination and election rules. Mr. Speaker, as it were then, a country that was run through dictatorship, a country that thought that the system is everything, and a country that disregarded the Constitution, the letter was not replied to. Mr. Speaker, I will also table before this House another letter that we wrote to the Registrar of Political Parties on the 27th of April 2022, in which letter we requested the registrar to find it, we communicated the decision of the party, the organs of the party, to be removed from the Azimio One Kenya Alliance. Instead, the registrar told us that she was under instructions from above, as it were, that we cannot exercise our democratic right to move out of the Azimio La Kenya. I will table the documents. Owing to that, Mr. Speaker, therefore, it is not factual, as has been insinuated, that Maendeleo Chapchap, under which I am elected and the member for Machakos was elected, moved from Azimio One Kenya Alliance after the elections, because the facts speak against. Mr. Speaker, again, after the elections, and noticing that the majority and minority determine how allocation of committees and leadership in this House is to be determined, we wrote a letter to you, the Speaker, our letter dated 26th of September, and which was received in your office on the 29th of September, in which we restated that our numbers, the two elected members, will be associated with the Kenya Kwanza coalition. Mr. Speaker, I will also table that letter so that it goes on record. Mr. Speaker, in the letter we enumerated the circumstances under which our party was forced, coerced, to join the Azimio Kenya coalition. And we did state that we did not find, and the circumstances under which we were coerced to join could not legally stand, and therefore we wish our numbers to be counted under Kenya Kwanza. The question that we'll be answering is, when I stand here as a member of parliament and say I want to be counted under Kenya Kwanza, can somebody else force me to be in another coalition that I do not want? Don't I have a right under the Constitution to decide where I want to be? Don't I have a right under the Constitution to say where I want to be? Mr. Speaker, it has been put to you. It has been put to you, Mr. Speaker. I do not want to restate the Constitution because it has been properly stated before you. Mr. Speaker, it has been put to you that rights have limitations, and indeed rights have limitations. But when you sit to determine the limitation for under Article 36, Mr. Speaker, I invite you to look at Article 24, which says the test for limitation of rights. To limit a right must be limited by a legislation, and that legislation must clearly state the right which is being limited. Mr. Speaker, in this case, our good friends are relying on limitation under the coalition agreement. The question you will ask yourself is, can a coalition agreement limit fundamental God-given human rights? When you sit, Mr. Speaker, determine that I, Mwengi Motuse, under Maendeleo Chapchap, and my colleague, Honorable Caleb, wish to be associated with Kenya Kwanza, and that's where our numbers should be counted. And we cannot be forced to be in a coalition that we do not want. Mr. Speaker, also, as you sit to determine, realize that the particular, and I know you have expunged from the record, so we do not have a document speaking to the coalition agreement between under the Kenya Kwanza. But I have seen in documents that the coalition agreement says that you cannot move until 3 months are over before the elections. Also, exercise your mind as a seasoned advocate that that time is going to lapse on the 9th of November, which is about 3 weeks to come. And therefore, it is anticipated, actually, people can move out. It is anticipated that people can move out. Mr. Speaker, yes. Mr. Speaker, we are making an argument and everybody will have the opportunity to make that argument. And Mr. Speaker, find that the requirement to wait for 90 days is unreasonable. Mr. Speaker, under Article 38 of the Constitution, the political rights that are given to the citizens of this country, you are supposed to enjoy them without unreasonable restrictions. Unreasonable, mark the word, unreasonable restrictions. To require us to stay for a particular time when we are not there is an unreasonable restriction, and therefore null and void to the extent that it is unreasonable. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to support that we are in Kenya Kwanza, and that is where our numbers should be counted.
The Member of Parliament for Mandera North.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. for giving me this opportunity to contribute to the debate. For the record, I'm a member of UDM, and in fact a senior member as the deputy party leader of UDM. Honorable Speaker, the Constitution guarantees freedom of association and freedom of movement. You can at any one time associate yourself with any party or individual as you so wish. And the Constitution is the supreme. The Azimio coalition party, One Kenya, has what we call the council, where each member of their coalition is represented by one member of the party. For record, UDM is not represented in that council, and it is in black and white. Our party, UDM, if they say that we were part of the Azimio coalition, we contested in various and many counties. One example is in Siaya County, which is also the bedrock of Azimio. A member who was a candidate of under UDM has been called names, including Niwatuya Al-Shabaab, coming from Azimio. So that means we were not part of Azimio. That has been said, it's on record. So that shows we are not part and parcel of Azimio. We have moved away from you. Actually, we have run like Murife. It's not don't run, but we ran very fast. Standing order 2B is very clear. And I want to remind my former chairman of PAC, Honorable Ondanyi, that it says the clerk shall obtain certified copy of coalition agreement, not a letter. What we have is a letter by the political parties registered